Good morning, world, and welcome to the Eric Goodell Show. Coming up, LA is looking to use bribery to increase voter turnout by offering cash prizes to those who turn out to vote in an effort to increase the number of active voters. Also, scientists have achieved a technological form of telepathy by hooking their brains up to the internet to send messages. How would you feel about having your brain on the internet, especially in light of NSA spying on all Americans? Also coming up, how the NSA is neglecting key intel on ISIS activities and instead choosing to focus their attention on spying on you. Are you sick of the two-party shenanigan, pro-wrestling-esque political arena we all face in this country today? Are you sick and tired of the same two-faced political types claiming office and making a joke out of our great nation, so much so that maybe, just maybe, you don't feel like dragging yourself out to the voting booth on election day? Well, LA could have just the solution: bribery. Oh yes, it's true. Pretty soon, you could stand to win big cash prizes, all for the low, low price of selling out and buying into this farce of a political system. Check this out. The LA Times reports that a panel wants LA to look at using prizes to boost voter turnout. Alarmed that fewer than 1/4 of voters are showing up for municipal elections, the Los Angeles Ethics Commission voted Thursday to recommend that the city council look at using cash prizes to lure a greater number of people to the polls. Maybe it's $25,000, maybe it's $50,000, said Commission President Nathan Hochman. That's where the pilot program comes in, to figure out what number and amount of prizes would actually get people to the voting box. Hochman said an election day lottery would simply require that people enter the voting booth, not cast a particular vote. If they truly think there are no good candidates, we're not going to force them to choose one, he said. What the studies have shown is if you get people to the voting booths and they're being incentivized to be there, over time, they will vote for someone.
Would you vote in city elections if someone paid you to? Well, there is word tonight. LA city officials are considering the idea of a big cash lottery prize as a way to boost digital turnout.
Well, Lena, the city council, rather the city ethics commission, Los Angeles Ethics Commission, recommended to the city council that it should consider this idea.
Anyone who votes is eligible to win a certain percentage of money. I mean, maybe it's $25,000. It's up to $100,000.
And so now you're really almost bribing people to vote, and people who would just vote for anyone just so they had a chance at a prize. Do you really want them to do that?
So, what issues are important to you? Which candidate do you think best represents the will of the people? Doesn't matter. You could win big money simply by voting for anyone. Then, you could afford a bigger TV set to watch more propaganda on. I love it when a plan comes together. Are you finding that having to type messages to your friends on the internet is getting a bit monotonous? Why, I bet even the NSA is getting tired of having to read through everyone's emails. What if there was a better way? Well, now scientists have devised a way to send messages via a technological form of telepathy. By hooking their brains up to the internet to send messages by thought, now their friends and the NSA can quite literally see what's on their minds. TheSpiritScience.net has an article out now about how scientists have now successfully demonstrated technological telepathy. In this first-of-its-kind study, an international team of researchers communicated 2 words across a 500-mile distance using the internet from one brain sender to 3 individual receivers of the data. We wanted to find out if one could communicate directly between 2 people by reading out the brain activity from one person and injecting brain activity into the second person, and do so across great physical distances by leveraging existing communication pathways, explains co-author Alvaro Pascual-Leon, MD, PhD, director of the Berenson Allen Center for Non-Invasive Brain Stimulation at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and professor of neurology at Harvard Medical School. One such pathway is, of course, the internet, so our question became, could we develop an experiment that would bypass the talking or typing part of the internet and establish direct brain-to-brain communication between subjects located far away from each other in India and France? It turned out the answer was yes. Just think, soon you too could be chatting away inside your friends' brains over the internet. No need to post pictures of your lunch on Facebook anymore. Now the NSA need no longer scan the web for dissenting internet memes. Now they can simply reach directly into your brain to discover your thought crimes. Speaking of the NSA, with all this spying on Americans, at least they're around to help monitor for and keep us safe from terror threats. I mean, you gotta take the good with the bad, right? Well, what if the NSA were actually ignoring key intel on the actions of terrorist groups while focusing more on Americans instead? This next story may make you wonder. This Liberty Viral article reports that Judge Napolitano says that the NSA is more interested in spying on Americans than it is on ISIS. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano appeared on Fox and Friends to discuss intelligence gathering activities in the United States. Napolitano argued that the NSA has extensive surveillance operations aimed at Americans, with 60,000 agents tasked with domestic surveillance, while neglecting to focus on the real problem of ISIS.
As ISIS terrorizes the Middle East and the list of global threats plaguing the world grows, is U.S. intelligence doing enough to combat these threats and spotting them? Or are agencies like the NSA and CIA being misused and misguided? Here to weigh in, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Welcome back.
Morning, guys.
So, it is, the President of the United States has made it very clear we don't have a strategy, as if this is a sudden shocker that we didn't see on the radar. But our intel people knew about it, didn't they?
Well, either they did or they didn't. And if they did, they can't claim surprise. And if they didn't, it's because they've dispatched 60,000 agents to spy on Americans in the United States of America instead of on these monsters,
Right.
As they started to acquire more wealth and more of our former military equipment and more geographical area in the Middle East. So for the government to say, oh, all of a sudden ISIS is
Right.
here, either the government's not doing its job or the government is lying to
Where'd you
us.
get those numbers from, Judge? That was the 60,000.
That's from, the 60,000 is from your friend Edward Snowden.
So he's the one who released this.
Yes.
Now, do you believe that those orders came from the White House, or is this the NSA going rogue?
No, I think this is from the White House, Brian. I think that the president, and this is just my opinion, is more concerned with wanting to know what Americans are doing rather than dispatching our intelligence agencies to find out what people who really can cause us harm are doing. So for them to say, this is the JV team, for them to say, all of a sudden they're on the scene, them meaning the government, either they're not doing the job or they're not telling us the truth. And neither is the government we should have.
So if this is a blatant
Okay.
disregard for the Constitution, then where's the outrage from the American people? Are we hearing it? I mean, this is their emails, their text messages, their phone calls, landlines, cell phones.
Two disregards for the Constitution. One is spying on innocent Americans without any evidence of criminal activity on the part of the Americans. The other is failing to keep us safe by allowing an entity the size and the magnitude and the ferocity of ISIS to develop without any resistance.
60,000 agents dispatched to spy on Americans while the ISIS threat is so imminent? Makes you wonder who they consider the real threat, doesn't it? Imagine what they would do if they could monitor all of our thoughts over the internet. Well, that's it for this episode, and as always, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next episode.